TMH Doctors Hospital, the Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity. We're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial. Complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Monday, the 5th day of August, 2019. I trust that everyone had an enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, again, we urge you to be extremely cautious, observe the rules of the road, remember the life you save may be your own. For those of you who have lost loved ones over the past few days, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you and your families, and we hope and trust that your faith will help to take you through these extremely challenging times. In particular, Mr. Crosby Solomon and his family, we want to extend condolences to them for the loss of their mother, grandmother, aunt, and again to say that our prayers are with you. Also the family of Mr. Ada Ebanks as well. Many of you, I'm sure that several of you, including myself, attended school with Ada Ebanks as well. So again, our condolences go out to those families and to all other families. Those of you who are celebrating birthdays today or have celebrated a birthday in the past few days, we want to wish you either happy birthday today or a belated happy birthday as well. And there were several anniversaries that were celebrated over the weekend, and one in particular, if time allows, I'd like to mention that as well, and it has to do with the celebration of 50 years of arrival in the Cayman Islands of a group of Caymanians who were living overseas. It's a really, really good story to hear. It's a touching story to hear when you, if you were to listen to the testimonials of some of those persons who were affected by that move from Cuba, in particular the Isles of Pines to the Cayman Islands, some who may have been born in the Cayman Islands and then traveled over there, some who were born in Isle of Pines and never knew or never set foot on the Cayman Islands before that time as well. Hope we get an opportunity to talk about that, and I certainly would welcome anyone calling in to talk about that as well. Several flights that took place, some in 1969. I believe there may have been some in 1968 as well. But that was a particular milestone that was celebrated this weekend also. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. This morning, it is the radio voice of DJ Lynn. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where you can leave us a text message or send us a voice note, contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And, of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. We have no guests in the studio yet. I believe that we will have guests in the studio again this morning, talking more about the cruise berthing facilities as well. Until then, we certainly will have an open line for you to call in and for you to express your views, ask questions, make comments, as long as those comments, those questions are fit to be played on air. I want to start out by talking about education, and if time allows, also I'd like to share two articles with you. One of those articles would be an editorial in the Tradewinds newspaper for the 4th of August, 1966. And it has to do with education. And this will be, of course, familiar to some of you, including myself. For others, it may be news. But it has to do with education, and the editorial reads, concerns about education in these islands has been a recurring topic of comment in these columns. This will continue until much more is accomplished and everyone can rest easy, knowing confidently that all children in the islands are being provided with the opportunity for learning here, which is second to none. It is expected that the next term of the Cayman Government Secondary Grammar School, as the Cayman High School is now known, will open in the new building on Walker's Road, where facilities will be more nearly adequate. But just as a house does not necessarily make a home, a new building does not necessarily make a school. What it does do, however, is provide tolerable working conditions for teachers and students alike, and give us the opportunity to attract a full cadre of well-qualified teachers. Everyone must be concerned by reports that a number of last year's teaching staff will not be returning, and the lack of news that they have been replaced and the teaching staff augmented. Now is the time, if it is not already too late, to be advertising in other areas, particularly in the United Kingdom, for qualified teachers who might find the absence of income tax and a tropical climate a real attraction. Certainly, salaries will be an important factor in recruiting as well, but the other advantages of Cayman should serve as a definite inducement to bring the able educators to our shores. This has been done successfully in Grand Bahamas, and doubtless in other areas as well. No time should be lost, no advertising expense spared to make the island's needs known. Thought should also be given to utilizing the services of trained and experienced teachers from areas other than those who are familiar only with the English educational system. In many parts of the Commonwealth, in particular, very experienced teachers are retiring at relatively early ages who could provide many years of exceedingly useful service in the teaching field and would have no difficulty in adapting themselves to the English curriculum. Similarly, thought could usefully be given to using the services of persons in a similar situation from the United States. In their careers, teachers would very often have had to adapt themselves to different curricula, so this would prove no hindrance, and certainly the years of teaching experience could be most valuable. The Board of Education and the government should immediately pledge an adequate budget for salaries and expenses necessary to get ample well-qualified teachers here to meet the needs of the islands, not only for a new secondary grammar school, but for the equally important secondary modern school and the various district schools here and in the lesser islands. There seems to be no hesitation to incur debts and expenditures for airport, roads, government housing, transportation, equipment, and other pressing needs. How much more important that we should invest whatever is required to provide every child in the islands with an opportunity for schooling second to none in the world. There can be no sounder investment for the future, even if it were to take, as is the case in some areas, as much as 60% of the total government revenues. Everyone would be surprised to see what savings would accrue in the future from such investment in diminished expenditures for the prevention of delinquency and law enforcement as a result of producing well-educated, respectable boys and girls, and the advancement of the islands both financially and otherwise because of broader fields of accomplishment opened to all of our youth through education. This must not be delayed. So here was the editorial in relation to education in the Cayman Islands, the opening of the secondary grammar school, which was now known as the Cayman Islands High School, and of course mention is made of the secondary modern school, which was located in Georgetown, which we now know as Georgetown Primary School as well. Time for us to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the historical vignette series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
The development of the Cayman Islands financial services industry is said to be nothing short of a modern economic miracle and should not be understated. Did you know that prior to 1953, the only operational bank in the Cayman Islands was a government savings bank, although it could not conduct commercial transactions or solve cash flow shortages? Despite pleas from the governor in Jamaica for the banks there to open a branch in the Cayman Islands, It was not until March 1953 when Barclays DCO opened their first office in Dr. Roy McTaggart's dental parlor on South Church Street. In 1957, Barclays moved into Dr. Roy's newly constructed Rembrandt building on Cardinal Avenue, and they did not see their first competition until 1963 when Royal Bank of Canada opened their first branch in the islands. Barclays would later open the first commercial bank branch in the sister islands on Cayman Brac in 1964. The Banking and Trust Companies and Regulation Law of 1966 would soon prove to be the key to launching the Cayman Islands into the world of offshore finance.
Radio Cayman's Historical Facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
540 months.
16,425 days.
394,200 hours.
45 years.
That's how long we've been committed to serving you, and we won't stop there. Over the years, we have proudly grown with Cayman, making a difference in the community. That's why we're here to stand by you.
We are Cayman National.
And we thank you for standing by us for 45 years and counting.
Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Gym tonight?
I have another test today.
Wow, for somebody who isn't in school, you've had a lot of tests this week.
Well, Vamp Motors is giving out fresh baked cookies to customers who test drive SUVs this month. And since I haven't decided what to buy, I'm just test driving each one to see what I like best.
You better test drive that to the gym and back, especially with all those free cookies you're getting from Vamp.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this August at Vamp Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vamp's summer SUV sale. Now through the end of August. That's every SUV in stock on sale. Save up to $4,400 or put the savings towards upgrading your vehicle. Sweeten the deal with Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Have you ever felt that there is something bigger out there for you? Something more positive, something more powerful, something all good, something bigger than yourself? Do you want to give back to this community, your community? Together, Rotary Central, Rotary Sunrise, and the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman are hosting a membership meet and greet social Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. Come along. Bring a friend. Find out what Rotary is all about, what Rotary is doing in your community. So, see you there, Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. We're looking forward to meeting you. Rotary, connecting the world.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Have about 5 minutes before we go to our 8 o'clock news. I have one WhatsApp and another article from the Caymanian Compass and their precursor, the Caymanian Weekly, the precursor to the Caymanian Compass, in relation to Administrator Official opens new school, and that speaks to the secondary grammar school as well. But I'll read the WhatsApp first, and it reads, "Good morning, Mr. Connor. The biggest problem in our government schools is supervision. You have to be at a school to know what really takes place. The principal sits in office all day by a computer, never getting up to look at what is happening in the classes. Most teachers from Caribbean countries only work for a paycheck. They do not care. They print off e-exercises from the computer. The schools are a mess. It is time to change all teachers." Speaking of what I have seen. Now, when this person may be anecdotally speaking about a particular situation, I must say that we have had very, very good teachers from the Caribbean. We have had good teachers from all over, and I don't think that the person's ability to teach or their commitment to their students necessarily has anything to do with their nationality or what area of the world that they have come from. I think it all goes to the individual and the commitment. Now, most teachers, I must say, most teachers, they're not into it for the money, because they're probably one of the most underpaid workers when it comes to professional workers. They spend more time with your children sometimes than you do, but they're less appreciated for it in terms of the salary that they receive and everything else as well. So can't say that I agree with what this writer has said in relation to about teachers from the Caribbean. Of course, everyone is entitled to their own opinions, not necessarily their own facts, but their own opinions. And this writer is obviously speaking from experience, and unfortunately that experience is not a good one, and as a result of that they have voiced their concerns about it. Very quickly, I think I have about 2 minutes left. I'll see how quickly I can read. It says, in the December 7th, 1966 edition of the Caymanian Weekly, a precursor to the Cayman Compass, news from Georgetown included: the large auditorium of the new secondary grammar school on Walker's Road was filled to capacity on the 29th for the official opening by His Honor the Administrator. The principal, Reverend J.R. Gray, commented on the change in the general attitude to secondary schooling which has taken place over the past 18 years. Mr. Gray felt that we still have a bit to go in our secondary school project, but this new school building has been a great fill up to it. and we must see that it is properly finished and continue working until we have a fully integrated secondary school project with junior and senior secondary, technical and commercial receiving their due emphasis, and by their efficient and attractiveness commending themselves to parents and satisfying the several abilities of the children. So there we have it. Mr. Gray, the new principal, the principal for the school as well. And this is the school on Walker's Road. Don't confuse the secondary grammar school with the secondary modern school, which I said, pointed out to you, is now what is known as Georgetown Primary School as well. Folks, we've reached the top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, we will have a discussion about the cruise berthing facility in the Cayman Islands as well. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
All right, thank you, Mr. OC. The time is now 8 a.m., brought to you by Price Right.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Access to information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Organizers for a local coding program have announced its headline sponsors. Details now from Radio Cayman's Keely Ebanks.
Harney's and Omise Holdings will be this year's headline sponsors for Youth.Code Cayman 2019, a new computer programming course for future coders and technologists. Youth.Code is the first program of its kind for local students. Brandon Caruana is the co-founder of Code Cayman, a learning and support network dedicated to supporting the growth of the local technology industry.
I think the world is moving to a software model, right? And software is replacing many of the jobs around the world. And I think it's important that we train local students up and give them another path in order to support the industry in Cayman. The software, as prominent venture capitalists once put, software is eating the world. And so software, as it continues to eat different industries and different sections of the economy, we've got to make sure Cayman is capable of participating on that level.
Both Harney's and Omise Holdings support includes the donation of 20 laptops to the program. And according to organizers, they're committed to helping develop Cayman into a technology center in the long term.
So the point of the program is to help support the local tech community, hopefully inspire some kids to choose a path that's technology-based.
The event, hosted by Code, Youth.Code 2019, will take place on the 12th to 16th of August 2019 from 9 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. at Cayman Enterprise City, Strathville House. The program is open to all students between the ages of 12 to 17 who are interested in coding and technology. Reporting for Radio Cayman News, I'm Keely Ebanks.
The Cayman Islands Monetary Authority hosts its first ever student mixer for young people interested in the financial services industry. Held at the Grand Cayman Marriott Beach Resort Friday afternoons, students got to learn firsthand about the financial services industry, its importance to the local economy, and how it contributes to the standard of living in Cayman. J.C. Mascarenas, who's currently studying actuarial science at Texas Christian University, tells Radio Cayman the session was enlightening.
I got to learn more about the financial sector as a whole in Cayman, and I really learned where they're headed, I guess, for the future in terms of different branches, such as like reinsurance is very interesting to me because I am studying actuarial science. So to see that they're really branching out into that field more is very, hopeful for the future as well.
The event also included a cocktail hour, giving participants the chance to interact with peers, as well as discuss various job opportunities within and outside of the financial services industry. Live demonstrations, giveaways, and refreshments were also available. In regional news, the Caribbean Maritime University has complied with an order from its council to remove the names on a wall of fame following concerns from some parents of students. In a release today, the Jamaican University Council said all tiles inscribed with the names of persons who had contributed to the establishment of the Festo Authorized and Certified Trading Center at the CMU, including those with discarded Education Minister Rule Reid and former Energy Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley, are to be removed until further notice. The University Council's instructions for the removal of the wall tiles comes after the Gleaner published a story on Friday highlighting the concerns of some parents. The parents were particularly concerned that the wall displayed the names of the discarded cabinet members, Reid and Wheatley. The Wall of Fame in question is mounted on a newly constructed Petro-Carib building of the Festo Authorized and Certified Training Center for Mechatronics and Automation. Opened last September, the state-of-the-art facility, which aims to deliver international certification in industrial automation and mechatronics, is the result of a partnership between the CMU and globally renowned German training institute, Festo Dadiact. The center, which is the largest to be established globally, has the capacity to train and certify more than 4,000 students annually. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. India has revoked the special status of Jammu and Kashmir, removing its power to make its own laws. The controversial announcement came at a time of heightened tension in the state, India's only Muslim-majority one. The move has been linked to the Indian government's Hindu nationalist agenda. Indian-administered Kashmir has seen a long insurgency over rule from Delhi. Pakistan has said the Indian move is illegal and that it's keeping all options open. The Foreign Ministry stressed that Kashmir was internationally recognised as a disputed territory. Police have fired tear gas to disperse democracy activists trying to enforce a general strike in Hong Kong. The stoppage has caused disruption across the territory. The Beijing-appointed authorities have warned that the increasingly violent protests are pushing it into a dangerous situation. BBC News.
Access. Information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
For 51 years, Cayman Airways has been connecting the Cayman Islands with the world, welcoming visitors to our shores and taking residents to exciting destinations. To celebrate, Cayman Airways airfares are now on sale for travel this fall. Sale fares start from just $71 CI round trip. Taxes and fees are additional, conditions apply. But hurry, this anniversary sale ends August 10th. Call 949-2311, contact the travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Always ensure that food preparation utensils are washed with a strong detergent and rinsed in hot water in the event that they have made contact with flood water. Boil silverware for 10 minutes and immerse glass, porcelain, china, and plastic items in a solution of hot water and 10% chlorine bleach before use. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky. New stock has just arrived at Super Stitch. Now don't take my word for it. Drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Super Stitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Super Stitch, 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
And with a quick look at the weather, brought to you by Super Stitch, this is the official public weather forecast prepared by the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Temperatures outside currently 84 degrees. Winds are coming in east-southeast at 3 knots. Barometric pressure currently at 1014.9 millibars and rising. Humidity currently at 81%. Forecast for today, partly cloudy skies, 30% chances of showers, and possible thunder. Temperatures will rise to the low 90s. Winds are expected to be east to northeast, 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. And taking a look at the weather tonight, partly cloudy skies, 40% chances of showers with possible thunder. Temperatures will fall to the upper 70s. Winds expected to be east to northeast between 5 to 10 knots. Seas expected to be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Currently we're on the low tide. High tide takes place today at 1:30 p.m. and low tide again at 7:36 p.m. Sunset at Cayman Islands, 6:58 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow, 6:04 a.m. Outlook is for similar weather conditions through Wednesday morning. For additional information, please visit the website www.weather.gov.ky. This has been your 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by Superstitch.
Superstitch Sewing and Fabric Center was a proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Superstitch at 949-2833 or email customer care at superstitch.com.ky. New stock has just arrived at Superstitch. Now don't take my word for it. Drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Superstitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Superstitch, 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
If your business is over here, but your customers are over here, adding more yellow to your business will bring you both right here. With everyone searching yellows, print, online, and mobile app, getting your business noticed is easier than ever. Book your consultation today at findyellow.com.
The 2020 Yellow Directory is closing soon. Last chance. Don't miss out. Call now to sign up or renew today. 949-7027. That's 949-7027. Yellow. We know K-Man.
Stay up to date with the latest in healthy living and fitness trends every Saturday morning at 9:30 and Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the health of it with Tara Bush.
Most clinics in the United States, they kind of like one surgery fits all. You're saying, that's not necessary. That's not going to be the case with me. And that's good to hear.
For the health of it is proudly brought to you by GNC. Join the GNC community and take advantage of their discount days. The first 7 business days of every month and every Wednesday. GNC. Believe in the power of nutrition.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today. And a pleasant good morning to our drivers out on the road. Coming in from the east, a little bit of stop and go between Lantern Point and the Prospect area. Things begin to pick up a little bit as we head on towards Kings Roundabout and on to for Pearson Highway. However, things begin to slow down on the Bobby Thompson Way. Taking a look at the stoplight by C&B. I've got a bit of traffic as you head on towards the roundabout in that area. Looking at Edward Street, stop and go traffic between there and Shedden Road. And taking a look at the Butterfield roundabout. Moderate flowing traffic in all directions. A bit of slow traffic coming out of Industrial Park, however. Things begin to slow down at the stoplight of Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue. No traffic incidents to report at this time. Coming in from the west. If you see anything on the road, hey, give us a call. 949-6990. The 8 a.m. traffic update has been brought to you by Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
Mondays just got a whole lot better thanks to Subway's Monday Madness. Each Monday in August, buy any 6-inch or foot-long sub and a large fountain drink, get another sub of equal or lesser value for free. Mondays never tasted so good with Subway's 2-for-1 Monday Madness. Buy a 6-inch or foot-long sub and a large fountain drink and get another sub of equal or lesser value for free. Every Monday in August, Monday Madness is available at all Subway locations except the airport. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Hey, are those new glasses on Will?
Yeah, we went to Optical Outlook. Wham, bam, easy exam. Finally, an exam he could pass. And we had the glasses the next day. Easiest part of our back-to-school shopping for sure.
Book your child's eye exam today at Optical Outlook. Call 746-2020. Get half off a complete pair of glasses with any student's eye exam now until August 31st. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook, located in Caymanian Village.
Tune in to Radio Cayman every morning at 7:20 a.m. for your daily weather update. Proudly brought to you by Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. With over 47 years of experience, they'll get the job done for you on time. Free estimate. Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. Call them at 949-4709 for a free estimate.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. As I said, today is Monday, the 5th day of August, 2019. This segment of the show, we're going to be talking about the cruise berthing facilities, and it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me MLA Mr. Austin Harris. He's also the temporary minister with responsibility for employment and border control, as well as international trade, investment, aviation, maritime affairs, and community affairs. It's a good thing that this is only temporary, Mr. Harris. Otherwise, it would be, quite a huge role to fill.
Certainly a mouthful.
Yes. And also in the studio with us, we have Mr. Noel Marsh, who's a small business owner in the Cayman Islands as well. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. Always a pleasure to be your guest in studios, and a special good morning to those tuning in this morning as well.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Connor, and good morning, Mr. Harris, and our viewers, and thank you very much for including me on your show this morning.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mr. Harris.
Thank you, OC. And again, certainly good morning to Mr. March as well. We were joking earlier on because we've known each other since high school, and then I was calling him Mr. March, and he looked at me and kind of, sort of whimsical, like, who's Mr. March? I'm Noel. I mean, stop it. So I may call him Noel on a personal basis, but certainly very grateful for his attendance this morning. We're going to talk about the cruise berthing project and the next steps that will be taken as we head closer towards, preparing for the signing of a contract. Of course, with the exception of what happens with the referendum and, of course, the verification process, as the Premier and the Deputy Premier have stated on numerous occasions on this program.
Yes.
But as you know, OC, one of the areas that's rather significantly important to me, in particular to one of those responsibilities on that exhaustive ministry list, that being employment, and the employment opportunities that this cruise berthing facility will afford, not only for the relatively small numbers of Caymanians who are still presently unemployed at this moment, but also the opportunities it will mean for those persons who are already providing services to the cruise industry, both at the employee level and also at the owner level. And frankly, I could talk until I'm blue in the face about the opportunities in which I believe will be derived for employment and particular Caymanians. But who better to share this belief and position than the actual business owners themselves? So in that respect, I am most grateful to Noel for being with us this morning as a small business owner that provides services to the cruise sector to talk about, in his own words, why this project's important. What will this project mean in terms of employment opportunities for Caymanians, but also what it will mean for his businesses in terms of upward mobility and further growth. So I'm delighted to have Noel with us. I would give apologies on behalf of Mr. Sean Ebanks, who's a tour operator at the cruise facilities. He was also scheduled to be with us this morning, but he called to notify us that he had, some business vis-a-vis the cruise passengers, which he had a tour that he had to operate, and therefore he sends his apologies. We are hopeful to be joined by Miss Dawn McLean Swanee, the Small Business Association president, to also share her views. But throughout the course of the morning, primarily, I want to give Noel an opportunity to share why he thinks, as a business owner, this project's important. And then I will also be happy to share with you and your listening audience, on the technical side, what are some of the next steps, particular to the environmental assessments and scoping works, which will also take place in the coming months, starting now in the month of August.
Certainly. Mr. Marsh.
Yes, Mr. Connor. As Mr. Harris indicated, I have been involved in cruise tourism for a while, since the mid-'90s, actually. This discussion, it gets too lost in certain aspects of it, and people get distracted from what is really important about it, and that's what Austin first touched on, which is the people and the employment that it provides. I have been involved in businesses in Georgetown that depend on cruise tourism. Small business that employs, 4 or 5 people. Mm-hmm. You maybe have 3 full-timers and 2 part-timers, but, contrary to what popular belief is and what seems to be sold out there, the last names of my employees were McFeel, Ebanks, Christian, and the likes. I don't understand what this distraction is with, saying that it's all expats on permit that are working in the cruise tourism industry. In my experience, the majority of small business owners that have been involved are locals, and it provides not only something for the entrepreneur, the small business entrepreneur, but their employees as well. When I was in high school, I also said we knew each other from high school. And in high school, I used to go on, when I was off of school on a Wednesday with my father, Dr. March, and his assistant nurse, Tommy Hurlston. they called him for Lions when they would go out to the different districts and visit the shut-ins and the old folks, and those who couldn't afford. And it really made me aware of a certain aspect of this society that we have that I think gets forgotten in all the glitz and glam of the financial sector and the fancy condos and all that kind of thing. And there's a lot of people that would really benefit greatly from these opportunities that this would provide. It's not only that not everyone can work in finance and stay over. Maybe not everybody wants to work. There's people want diversity in life. And it just the more opportunities and diversity that we can provide to our people, the better we're going to be socially, and that means a lot. Crime, all these things, and there's no shame in working in cruise tourism. It seems to be looked down upon by some, frowned upon, I guess is the term. Mm-hmm. But it can provide some pretty good opportunities and to get your foot on the first rung of the ladder, and start to move yourself up. Yes.
Yeah. I just want to echo the sentiments of Noel as it relates to opportunities, and in particular the misnomer that suggests that the people who are providing the services to cruise passengers are foreigners, which, as Noel pointed out, that is simply not a fact. His business and many other Caymanian-owned and operated small businesses employ exclusively Caymanians. We've heard vis-a-vis the Support Our our tourism website that some 4,500 Caymanians derive a living from cruise tourism. That's 4,500 people and their families that derive a living from cruise tourism. And they continue to thrive as a result of the business that is generated from cruise passengers. Now imagine if we are expecting to receive an uplift of between 300,000 and 500,000 new customers on an annual basis, what that will mean to the small businesses, the tour operators that are providing these services. You're going to need, in the first instance, certainly more tour bus drivers. You're going to need more tour operators. Whilst there's a driver, there's a narrator. You're certainly going to need more persons engaging in water sports activities, whether that be the Stingray City tours, whether it be the sandbar tours, whether it be charter fishing tours. You're going to need those individuals. When you look at the shops that cater to services, not everyone, works on a tour bus. Not everyone works out on the water. They're salesmen. I think of my good friend Mr. Denver, who's been providing excellent sales service to cruise passengers, if not the length of his career. There'll be opportunities when you have this influx of new business within some of the stores that provide either perfume, whether they be jewelry, you name it. These opportunities will be created, and these are jobs that will be needed in order to service that influx of new customers. Likewise, the very business owners themselves can naturally expect a boost in their returns from the increase in services that will be provided. So this is a real opportunity for according to the last labor survey report, the 996 Caymanians who are at present day still unemployed. These are opportunities that they can grasp onto, and we keep talking about where are the Caymanians in our tourism product. Well, whilst we still may be struggling to find or to reconnect Caymanians in our stayover product, 4,500 Caymanians representing, the cruise sector is a significant number, and that number is only expected to grow.
Austin, if I may, where I want to continue on from where I left off is that business that I was referring to no longer exists. Mm-hmm. And that business existed prior to 2009, the performance and statistics and the type of employees. And the main reason being that it no longer exists was because of the change of pretty much specifically Royal Caribbean to the larger ships that we could not tender. And their high-end passenger wanted to then go on the latest, greatest ship that they had. Mm-hmm. And the ones that used to come here on I believe it was a Freedom class, was their biggest at the time. Basically, what happens when the Royal put that ship on the Western itinerary, they remove a ship, right? That replaces, but that new ship doesn't call on our port.
Right.
So we've effectively lost a ship. Not only lost a ship, we've lost now the top tier of the Royal Caribbean customer who now wants to go on that Oasis class ship. And that's been happening since 2009.
Yes.
My business took a dramatic plunge, and within a matter of a couple of years, it was below half. The sales were down, and I had to close it down.
Yeah.
As everyone remembers, what Georgetown was, what they called a ghost town, because all these businesses just pretty much disappeared. At one point, I remember going around, and I think it was early 2009, doing a survey of people with regards to business owners, with regards to the tendering at the time and the locations of the tenders where they would come in, the terminals. And if I'm not mistaken, there was probably over 60 signatures in that from combined of business owners, plus also let's not forget all the people at the craft market.
Right.
There must have been maybe 24 signatures there alone. Mm-hmm. And I think I went around to do something maybe in 2012 when we were trying to find out information from government at the time, what was going on with the then Czech discussions.
Yes.
Right? And I was trying to get support. I was going around getting the same thing, people signing something to ask government to meet with us. And if I could find half of those people at that point in time, I was lucky.
Yeah, indeed.
And that just shows you that how important just that one particular cruise line is.
Right.
That came in, and the quality of customer. You say these additional, this uplift in passengers, a very significant percentage of that are going to be high-quality passengers.
Absolutely.
It's not like we're going to, out looking for the cheapest tour company here.
That's right.
These are the big boys.
Indeed.
And I don't know if you all recall, what's even more significant about it is that the gentleman from Royal Caribbean last, I believe it was September, when Mr. Moses had a meeting at the Family Life Center with regards to the port and what was going on at the time, giving an update. I believe the gentleman from Royal Caribbean stated that there's a great possibility within the next several years, because of the type of ships that they're changing to, that we would probably stand to lose, I think, another 250,000
passengers,
Royal Caribbean passengers,
Yeah.
in addition to the ones we had lost already,
Right.
that we don't get. Now, you figure that ship alone, they say that the statistics show that ship means like 1.3 million a week sailing by here.
Wow.
It's a little island.
Indeed.
You can imagine now, multiply that over 52 weeks a year.
Absolutely.
And we've been missing that for the past 10 years.
That's a significant loss. And I think that's why it's so important, OC, for shows like this to highlight the stories of persons like Noel March and those businesses that provide services. Because, as Noel pointed out, it is very easy for the discussion on cruise berthing to get lost in translation, because there's so many voices, particularly negative voices, trying to, obviously, shoot down the project, why it's not necessary. But I'm willing to wager those persons who are providing that sort of negative commentary have either never worked in the cruise sector, have never associated themselves with persons who provide services to the cruise sector, or worse, have never actually sat down and had a coffee with people like Noel and others and said, listen, I don't support the port for whatever reasons, but tell me, why are you engaged in services? Why does it matter to you? Because the stories that he talks about are real life stories that impact Caymanians. 2009, the loss of one Freedom class ship, what it did to his business, not just his business, but to the livelihood of the Caymanian employees that he had. Now you take that and multiply it, times 4,500 people that currently derive a living from cruise tourism, and we could easily understand and accept what kind of threat it represents to not continue to grow that industry versus the opportunities that are presently before us that we are anxious to continue to talk about.
Certainly. Time for us to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. The conversation with MLA and Temporary Minister, Mr. Austin Harris, and small business owner, Mr. Noel March, will continue right after this short break.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Have you ever felt that there is something bigger out there for you? Something more positive, something more powerful, something all good, something bigger than yourself? Do you want to give back to this community, your community? Together, Rotary Central, Rotary Sunrise, and the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman are hosting a membership meet and greet social Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. Come along. Bring a friend. Find out what Rotary is all about, what Rotary is doing in your community. So, see you there, Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. We're looking forward to meeting you. Rotary, connecting the world.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct? So, for all your insurance needs, call Fidelity. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity. We're good for you.
At Logic, we make things better for our customers. It's why we're offering free Boost Wi-Fi. With Boost, you get improved Wi-Fi connectivity everywhere in your home, so there's no more dead zones. The only people we're not making this better for is parents. Because now with seamless Wi-Fi in every room in your home, go to your room isn't really the punishment it used to be. Sorry about that. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're discussing the cruise berthing facility with MLA and Temporary Minister, Mr. Austin Harris. Also with us, we have a small business owner, Mr. Noel Marsh. Gentlemen.
Indeed, again, it's great to be here with us this morning in studios. And as I stated earlier on, the government can, express what it believes are the virtues and benefits of the expansion of cruise berthing in the Cayman Islands. I particularly can talk about the employment opportunities, which I believe will be significant for our Caymanians. But the government isn't going to be that employer. So it's important that we understand the status quo as it relates to how important cruise tourism is to the business providers, the service providers that provide that service to that very important sector of our tourism economy at present, but also what the threat of not doing this cruise berthing project will mean to them and their families versus, of course, the opportunities that they are preparing to embrace as we move closer and closer to the contract signing stages. So, again, it's a pleasure to be in studios with you, and in particular to have one of those small business owners with us in studios, because as I stated earlier on, I can talk until I'm blue in the face about what I believe to be the benefits and opportunities for Caymanians, but to have one of these business owners himself in studio talking in terms of his own experiences, both in terms of the loss of business in 2009 with the removal of the Freedom Class ships and the introduction of the Genesis Class, much larger cruise lines that don't tender, what that means in real life terms to the businesses and the employees who provide services to this industry. It's very easy for the naysayers, some with the loudest voices, to criticize this project and to do so in a vacuum, to fundamentally reject any of the benefits that are presently being derived from their own Caymanians. So I think it's a great opportunity, and again, I'm grateful for Noel being in studios with us this morning.
What would be interesting also is some commentary in relation to the whole proposal and the not including in that the upland development and what that means.
Absolutely.
The ramifications that has for the local businesses as well.
Well, as I've stated for a very long time, I have been opposed to the upland development aspect of previous proposals for a number of reasons. Number one, the environmental consequences. The upland development would mean an increase to the dredge pocket, an increase to the area that would otherwise be cleared away in order to replace it with concrete and steel. And unlike the piers, which we now know will be designed under a pilings sort of platform, where we're looking at 12-foot diameter holes spread over a number of pilings that will support will support a platform that will sit above ground. That is a non-bulkhead type of structure. So it is allowing both the movement of current and sediment in the natural process, whilst also providing a natural shelter for small fish, which will attract larger fish. So I believe we're actually giving back to the environment by creating a structure that will create that sort of man-made reef, if you will, for marine life, versus the upland development portion, which would be very much a bulkhead type of facility, concrete from top to bottom, no way for water or sediment to move, but it would create the necessary land mass to put shops and other businesses, which largely would not be owned by locals at present, as it has existed in every other Caribbean island that the cruise lines have gotten involved in. They build the cruise lines, using their money, but they're allowed to operate shops as a way of recouping that investment. Makes absolutely perfect sense. But in the Cayman Islands, we have sought to take a different route, which makes this proposal and the contract that is pending rather unique in terms of the Caribbean, if not the rest of the world. We've gone a different route. We've chosen not to go with the upland development to mitigate against the environmental impact, but more importantly, to avoid taking money out of the mouths of those Caymanian-owned businesses that today, and certainly for the last 20, 30 years, have been providing services to this cruise industry. What the government is saying is we have a responsibility to create the environment in which to allow businesses to flourish, not to create an environment in which competes with those businesses. So from very start to finish, this project has been about how do we secure and improve or mitigate the environmental impact of this project, whilst also seeking to benefit as much as possible those Caymanian businesses that provide those services. And by removing that upland development portion, we have been able to satisfy both of those needs.
Okay, I believe we have one caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Osteen. Good morning to your guest.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for your call.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome. I have a quick question regarding the port. Is a very important topic to me as well. Well, I'm a operator down, a local operator down at the port. At this present time, we do operate a water sports industry. What we would like for Mr. Austin, on behalf of those, we would like Mr. Austin to be able to tell us what will happen to us as we're on the inside of the port now, being able to have a privilege to have a space at the dock where we're allowed to do not pre-booked but non-pre-booked inside the port. Can he tell us where we will be if this port should go forward? Because as we can see from other countries, they are complaining that once the cruise ship takes over, the people are put on the outside, and most of the Caribbean islands, Honduras, Jamaica, and all those are a great example for us. Can you tell us where we will be sitting at that point?
Yes.
That's my concern right now.
No, absolutely, caller. Thank you very much for the question, and certainly, before I begin, thank you very much for the service you provide to an important sector of tourism, that being the cruise business. As we have heard from the Deputy Premier and others in multiple times, that whilst the existing retail space at the Royal Watler Terminal itself will come down to make way for a new design, the square footage that presently exists will still remain. So that means that those shop owners, those vendors, those tour operators who, are there to greet passengers with their signs, whether they're selling Stingray City tours or island tours, those individuals will be given priority spacing, if you will, within that new development. The structure that ties the whole thing together from an aesthetic standpoint will change. The buildings will change. The footprint will change to a certain extent.
The amount of square footage.
But the amount of square footage that was available to operators like that last caller will still be made available, and they will be allowed to conduct their business on the cruise port itself, not on the outside, on the roadsides, on the sidewalks, or otherwise. I believe that not only will we create space for existing businesses, but we'll also improve, I think, on the efficiencies that I think are oftentimes lacking in terms of, how efficient is it for a cruise passenger to move from the ship to the pier, through customs and immigration, and then get them as quickly as possible to the waiting businesses that are waiting to service their needs.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine that caller, in her concern, was probably also thinking about a situation like, say, for instance, Owen Roberts International Airport, whether existing tenants will have to rebid or re-request the opportunity to be able to operate once a new facility is there. But based on what has been said, that the footprint, the square footage would remain the same, we would hope and trust that along those same policy lines, that those persons who were there before will have the ability to continue to occupy that space when it has been reconstituted.
Most definitely. I was previously involved with Port Authority, and my one of my responsibilities, I didn't have as many responsibilities as the temporary minister here, but was to deal with the individuals such as the caller who provide basically walk-off tours, they call them, non-pre-book. And it was very interesting. There's a lot of people don't realize how many people depend on that, and how many of them they are out there doing that, and also involved in the land and sea co-op as well. And what I think needs to be added here is that, and building on what Mr. Harris said, is that the efficiency, the additional time on shore, will now also allow this individual to possibly offer a second tour. Or a third tour, and be able to spread their guests out. Yes. And maybe provide a little, because what happens now, and I've seen it in retail, I've seen it in the tour business, is that everybody's trying to cram within a certain window of time.
Yes.
To get to the different attractions and get back and get on the tender. They're dead afraid of missing their tender. Okay, and if we can add a little bit of time, we can maybe spread that bottleneck out and provide a better experience for the visitor.
That's right.
And in addition to more business for our operators as well. And that lets overall, people take that great experience back, and that return business.
Yes.
And not only in the form of cruise, but in the form of stayover.
Yes. No, I think the point that Noel makes is a very sound one. And anyone who's ever experienced what it's like downtown on cruise ship days will appreciate certainly the struggles, if not the challenges, that business providers feel. Probably the same reason that you and I as motorists tend to avoid Georgetown on cruise ship days, because it just seems like, in a word, madness. A lot of that is there because of the current situation. I don't want to take anything away from the tender boats who have efficiently transported passengers from ship to shore for a number of years. I think they've done a fantastic job.
And they will continue it.
I think they will continue it. I think, their own efficiencies are something worth noting and congratulated. But let's face it, we're dealing with two factors here. Number one, the one that we accept as much as 40% of cruise visitors don't actually get off the ship. So that's business that persons are just simply not spending, whether it be in a T-shirt, whether it be a souvenir shop, whether it be in a tour or whatever, or a restaurant. Those persons are just not getting off. So that's lost business opportunity. The second problem is the one in which Noel speaks of. Because all of these passengers are descending on the port, give or take at the same time, coming off of one tender ship after the next. They're here for a short period of time. A lot of them, regrettably, and I say this regrettably because I think there's a lot of opportunity for those businesses that aren't participating in the pre-book. But I said, regrettably, a lot of these tours are pre-booked largely because these passengers are trying to maximize their little time in the Cayman Islands. What does an extension in that time on Cayman mean, not only for the passengers and the efficiency that we expect to experience at the portside operations, but in particular to the persons that are providing services? So now, as we've talked about before, a real opportunity to expand and embrace this Go East initiative. Now we have more time to take people out to Bordentown, out to East End, out to North Side, to expand that cruise tourism opportunity to those in those districts, whilst also giving that cruise passenger the assurance that, I don't have to hurry back to the port because I don't expect to be standing in long tender lines in order to make my ship call so the ship doesn't leave me. Now I can take my time. Now I can go back on the ship, off the ship, on the ship, off the ship, as much as I like, because I have that convenience of simply stepping off the ship and onto land.
Okay, these commercial breaks are sneaking up on us pretty quickly, so we have to take another one, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Have you ever felt that there is something bigger out there for you? Something more positive, something more powerful, something all good, something bigger than yourself? Do you want to give back to this community, your community? Together, Rotary Central, Rotary Sunrise, and the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman are hosting a membership meet and greet social Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. Come along. Bring a friend. Find out what Rotary is all about, what Rotary is doing in your community. So, see you there, Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. We're looking forward to meeting you. Rotary, connecting the world.
Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Do you have a business in the tourism industry? The Cayman Islands Department of Tourism wants you to get listed on their website. Visit CaymanIslands.com. It's absolutely free and will give your business added exposure on the #1 visited tourism site for the Cayman Islands. Learn more and get listed at www.visitcaymanislands.com/sign up. That's www.visitcaymanislands.com/sign up. Don't wait. Sign up today.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're discussing the cruise berthing facility with MLA and Temporary Minister, Mr. Austin Harris, and small business owner, Mr. Noel Marsh. Gentlemen.
Again, sir, having the opportunity to talk a little bit about what cruise berthing will mean, the ease of disembarkation and embarkation for cruise passengers, the ability to come off the ship directly onto a pier as opposed to onto a tender. I've said time and time again, whether they be employment opportunities or whether they be the real world challenges. I want to thank the first caller we had this morning, who is a business provider. She provides services to the cruise industry. She was interested to know in this new design, where will be her home? Where will she be allowed to operate and provide those businesses? And I think it's absolutely important for us, regardless of what side you sit on this argument, to understand, if not appreciate, what the experience is like on that cruise port on a daily basis in our present circumstance without cruise piers versus, and in order for us to appreciate what the benefits that will be derived from those cruise piers. And again, for that, I'm grateful for the guest that is joining us in studios, Mr. Noel March, a small business owner, who again is one of the many service providers that cater to the cruise tourism sector to share with us the first-hand, real-world experiences, not only of business owners and the loss of opportunity that comes with a relatively short time, but also the level of confusion, if not anxiety, that presently exists on the cruise port and how that negatively impacts that business. I think hearing it from the business owner will give our listeners an appreciation for what exactly is at stake. So again, I'm grateful to have Mr. March here with us. During the break, we were talking a little bit about the concern, if not the anxiety, that goes along with cruise passengers when it comes time to re-embark the cruise ship and to go back home.
Certainly, Mr. March.
When people are on vacation, they're supposed to relax. But I witnessed firsthand countless times over the years an extreme level of anxiety because people have a time constraint, and they want to try and take in as much of the experience here as possible. So they go on a tour, they get back into town, and because everybody's operating within the same sort of time window and we can't spread them out a little bit, it creates a bottleneck, and everybody descends on these businesses in town, and it's not a good experience. You can't relax while you're shopping. Take your time, to select for whoever you want to take a little tidbit, a little souvenir back for. And I've seen many times people, you can see them fidgeting in the line, and they're watching, they're looking to see how fast the line is moving, take their things that they have collected to purchase and just put them down and walk out of the store.
Wow.
And just leave because they are just concerned about being left.
Yeah.
And rightly so. That's a concern that they have. They're trying to remember which terminal they came in on. Mm-hmm. What time they're supposed to be back there, and finally they just say, you know what, I'm not taking this risk, and they go, and that's just my business that I've seen that in. I can't imagine with how many other businesses and situations that's happened, and that adds up.
Yeah, it certainly must add up. I think that's a rather significant statement. If you are so concerned about making your tender boat, which takes you back to the ship, if you're so concerned not about just making the tender boat, but getting through the lines that will start, that are there every time it comes time for the ships to depart from the island. To put it in a word as chaos, I don't think would be, putting too sharp a point on it. But even more so, whether the spend is $85 or $100 per spend per passenger, to leave that money on the ground, regardless of who you are, simply because your top concern is getting back on the ship. I think that speaks volumes. It really does to the state of affairs that currently exists on Royal Watler in an environment where there is no cruise berthing. We have to create that environment, and I think we're getting there, where that same cruise passenger has a relaxed feeling, so they're not rushed, so that they can spend a little extra time in the shops. We talked earlier on about the 40% of passengers that don't come off the cruise ships, which we understand are usually the elderly, persons with physical handicaps or otherwise. Well, when I think of the elderly, I think of grandparents. And grandparents, the one thing grandparents do is they shop. They shop for the grandkids. They make sure they're buying gifts. So they're the ones that are certainly supporting the souvenir shops, the knick-knack shops or whatever. And when you can give this grandma or grandpa, an extra hour where they're not rushed, where they can actually spend some time and take a look at some of the great products that are available here in the Cayman Islands to remind them of their trip, but in particular to potentially build future visitors to the Cayman Islands, in my mind, that's priceless. Versus, of course, and again, Noel's experience in one shop, and if it's happening in one shop, it's probably happening in a great many other shops, is that the anxiety of catching their ship is more important than the money that they spent, so much so that they'd leave that money on the ground rather than miss their ship and their deadline.
Okay, I think we have a caller still on hold. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just question, can you guys tell me what the savings and time will be with someone having a peer to get back onto the boat versus someone having, to go on a tender? What is actual time being saved? The reason, two-part question. The reason is, if we're saying that we're saving 30 minutes, so that person gets an extra 30 minutes, or I think you alluded to an hour just now, I think the issue that you're going to be faced with is what we're having with traffic now. So we're having a bottleneck at a different position now. So the bottleneck won't be necessarily getting onto the ship, but how many people can be processed back onto the ship and off the ship. So it's almost maybe a wash or a smoke and a mirror to say that the pier may reduce or give people more time, but I want to know what sort of significant studies have been put into that statement to qualify that there will be additional time, and who's to say that the cruise then won't leave an hour earlier because of a remote destination and where Cayman sits geographically. We may be just fooling ourselves to think, hey, the cruise ships might leave an hour earlier so they can get to their other port on time. I'll hang up on that and listen for the answer, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Caller, you understood the question?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent question. I think to the primary question in terms of what studies have been conducted to determine how much actual time will be saved, I don't have that information available to me. But certainly I will commit to getting it and sharing that information with you. I can only imagine, or I can only share what would be, a sort of personal perspective. The ability to be able to dock up a ship to a dock, to a pier, and to be able to casually disembark at your own pace, I think is the first improvement. The second improvement is that the bottleneck in which the caller speaks of. Whilst there are set times in which you've got to get down to the tender, whilst I've been on cruise ships where I've seen this process actually taking place, there's either a stairway or an elevator, but you go from the top level down to the waterline level. The process of getting from your room to the tender boat and onto shore takes at least a half an hour, sometimes 45 minutes from the ship perspective itself. So again, the ability for a ship to tie up to a dock and disembark passengers freely who are not walking onto a tender and maneuvering their way through steps and rocky conditions or otherwise, but can casually walk on and off, has got to improve the disembarkation process.
And the continuity in terms of once you're berthed as opposed to the tender process, because there is a lapse in time between one tender and the other.
Correct, exactly. So to your point, you're saving that gap in time between one tender and the other. But also the re-embarkation. When you have the ability to go on and off at your leisure, at your discretion, you can decide how much time you want to spend on shore. Do you want to spend the full 6 hours, or do you want to spend 4? Do you want to go shopping and then you want to come by and unload before you go on your sandbar tour, or vice versa? Those opportunities are available versus now. And again, I don't know this for a fact, but I know enough persons who provide services to the cruise sector to say that once a person goes on a tender to return to the ship, the likelihood of them coming back on shore is next to nil. I think that certainly berthing will provide greater convenience so that we can reduce that mad rush that we see in the bottleneck when it comes time to get back on the ship. But certainly Noel might provide further insight.
We'll take that on as soon as we return from our headline news at 9 o'clock. Have to take that break. Now, folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity. Stuck on you. Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Deputy Governor's 5K Challenge is celebrating its 6th anniversary this year, with efforts well underway to reach an ambitious fundraising target of $70,000. The target is already within the challenge's sight thanks to a $17,500 donation from Appleby. The walk run is being held this year on September 15th in Cayman Brac and September 29th in Grand Cayman. India's government has revoked the part of the constitution that gives Indian-administered Kashmir special status in an unprecedented move likely to spark unrest. Article 370 is sensitive because it is what guarantees significant autonomy for the Muslim-majority state. The entire region is disputed between India and Pakistan. Each claims it in full but controls only part of it. U.S. President Donald Trump has said, quote, hate has no place in the U.S. after 29 people were killed in 2 mass shootings over the weekend amid accusations that he bears some responsibility. An attack on a Walmart store in El Paso, Texas left 20 dead while 9 died in a shooting in Dayton, Ohio. Mr. Trump said, quote, perhaps more has to be done to stop such attacks. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, MLA and Temporary Minister, Mr. Austin Harris, small business owner, Mr. Noel Marsh, and we're discussing the cruise berthing facility here in the Cayman Islands. I have a WhatsApp message as well. It says, good morning. Will there not also be other regular small cruise ships still calling into Georgetown besides the 4 that will use the cruise pairs? How will they be tendering?
Again, good morning, OC, and good morning to the listening audience. Thank you for that, listener, for the question. As we note on the cruise berthing design that has been shared publicly, whilst it calls for 2 piers and the opportunity to berth 4 ships at a single time, there will still be the opportunity for smaller vessels to call on the Cayman Islands, and therefore the tendering operations will not disappear entirely. Certainly to the caller's question, we will still be able to tender smaller ships. These ships will more likely find themselves staying not on anchor, but more so on GPS positioning. So that means they're going to use their engines to maintain a single position, their Aussie pods, or as they call it, to remain in a single position, which of course is expensive for cruise lines, but it is certainly safer on the environment. But those ships will still be able to tender, and the process as we know it today will continue in that environment of a cruise berthing facility.
Mr. Connor, if I may
Sure, Mr. Marsh.
revert back
Right
to something the previous caller had asked about with regards to I think we had a comment with regards to the ship deciding to leave earlier. I really don't think that's going to be the case, mainly because the cruise lines, while they're in port, make their money off tours. And if they now have the ability to sell more tours because of more time on shore possible for their customers, they're not going to be leaving, because that would mean that they would be literally shooting themselves in the foot. They would be leaving opportunities behind that, which would in the form of tours that they would sell, and also another benefit with regards to the berthing, and which you all were discussing, Mr. Harris, people being able to exit the ship sort of at their own free will. Is right now, I believe pre-books are given priority in the system that we currently have, so that they can get off and get on a tender and get to shore to get their pre-booked tour, and then you'll find a lot of just the walk-offs and people who are just casually going ashore and walk-offs that the first caller that we had, walk-offs that would be her sort of clientele that she would try to solicit and sell her tour to, whether it be a bus tour or a Stingray City tour. And what this would allow is for her customers to come off earlier as well, and expose her for a greater period of time and a chance to do more business. And it's not just for those that are currently existing to do more business. This is going to allow additional people to enter this part of our economy. And as we go forward, there's, we grow. There's more of us. More of us need jobs. And so this is not just about, people who are currently in the business doing better. This is about providing new opportunities, which we have to do all the time, whether it's in cruise, stay over, or finance. We need to keep this diversity going in all sectors.
Okay, we have another caller who has joined us. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning. How are you doing, Cap?
Oh, a little hoarse, but I think I can still get my
We're hearing you loud and clear on this end.
Good morning, Captain Paul.
Good morning, Mr. Harris and Mr. Marsh.
Good morning, sir.
Give me a little time, because
Sure.
Yeah, I'm quite sure you all have heard this story, this saying that whoever pays the piper calls the tune. I am quite aware that you can build this dock in Georgetown, but I think you have to go back to the drawing board.
Okay.
I think you have to go back to the drawing board. If you give me a little chance, I will explain.
Sure.
Because I had 41.5 years on ships. I wonder if there's anybody in the government of all this knows anything about constructing a pier, how this thing is done. I worked with West India Line for 15 or something years like that. I carry a lot of material support when they was building Port Hess. When I first went to Port Hess, we were tied up in the mangrove bush. When I left there, it was about 10 piers in 96 watt. I carried material. I seen piers built in Point Lisas, Trinidad. I seen it at Point Fortin, Trinidad. Cul-de-sac Bay, St. Lucia. Freeport, Bahamas. I think I know, and also at Bonaire. I carried material there to Bonaire. For years, I've observed what's going on. And another thing I would like to say, with these pairs, if they're not oriented in the right direction, it's a disaster. Alcoa, many years ago, built a pier in Trinidad, Caranash, Trinidad. I hauled a lot of bauxite, brought a lot of bauxite in there, and it was designed by experts, I believe, and it was designed wrong because it was crossway to the flow of the current. You had to have tugboats and the ships there. It was several Cayman pilots down there. Captain Louis Foster from Trinidad, from Cayman Bright, Captain Solomon, Captain Age Coe. They're all gone now. They can't verify what I'm saying, but I knew them all. And it was almost a disaster. And I said, the docks are oriented in the wrong direction. Of course, nobody asked my opinion, and I don't believe there's anybody in government that's been to see. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, that knows. And remember, you're not docking a runner Boston whaler. This is a big, huge ship, and the larger they are, the higher they are, the more wind pressure. 10-knot wind. They're not at sea level, might be, but when you're 100 feet up in the air, it's plenty of pressure, and it can be built. I know, because as I said, I've carried equipment down there. I've seen construction also in Guayanilla, Puerto Rico. So I have a lot of experience, but as the old guy from South Sound said one time, was not worthwhile asking, is not worthwhile offering, so I didn't offer my suggestion to anybody. And of course, they wouldn't talk to me anyhow. But it can be done, but can you use it? Because if they're big ships, and it's not like coming in to anchor that you can, if you make a mistake or come in a little fast, you can drop the anchor and not have break your speed. But these big ships, I'm sorry, but I said whoever pays the piper calls the tune, and people will tell you anything when they want the job. But listen to people who, I'm disqualifying myself, but listen to people who got little knowledge about these things. It'll save you a lot of money because they can build it, but people don't realize the energy that salt water got, because the deeper the water, the more, the larger the swell. I'm not asking about, I had 41 years out on ships.
Captain Paul, I have a question for you. Would it be customary in a situation like this, being a sea captain, when ports are being built, to consult the master of those vessels? So in this particular case, Royal Caribbean or whatever the cruise line may be, knowing the design that is being proposed for the Cayman Islands, would it be customary also for them to talk to their captains, or maybe even talking to the port captains or who help to bring the vessels in, or the pilots who bring them in, to get their view in terms of the positioning of the piers as well?
Stupid if you don't. It would be as stupid, because the more information, because not everybody is going to give you the right or might know it. But these captains on these ships, their jobs is so what should I say? They're going to tell you whatever the company or whoever they're working for wants to hear. I'm not asking anybody. I had 22 years as master. I know what I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. I know what I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. They're going to tell you. Because I have been forced to do things that I was oh, you can do it, you can do it. The bananas are waiting on, is writing on the dock. You got to go and get them. It needs it on schedule. And going up the Mississippi River to Chattanooga, Tennessee, to pick up a nuclear reactor. This little black boy done that. I'm the only one since 1939 that commanded a foreign ship, a loaded cargo on one U.S. port and discharging another, a nuclear reactor to Chattanooga, Tennessee. And we carried all the cargo on deck. We had no place to store garbage, so I went to the marine superintendent and asked her for a garbage compactor, because they had just come out then, and he refused. No, I'm not putting anything like that on the ship. I said, well, what am I going to do with this garbage up the river? He said, his thought for a while, just throw it overboard in the night, but see that you don't get caught. That's the kind of things that you asked. I don't have the time, and I know you don't, but I could read the thing. They're going to say what their boss wants them to say. So that is it can be built. Oh yes, I've seen it, and I know how it's going to be. And by the way, this propaganda about having 1,000 workers, it's not going to happen if there's 50 local workers building that dock. Because the equipment, I'm sure it's going to be prefab coming from China or somewhere. It's all prefab and just put together. 10 men could probably do it. Thank you for listening to me, and I'm ready to be criticized.
That's okay, Captain Paul. Thank you very much, Captain Paul. We have to take a commercial break. We still have one other caller on hold as well. Caller, hang in there. Quick commercial break. When we return, we will be coming to you.
Gym tonight?
I have another test today.
Wow. For somebody who isn't in school, you've had a lot of tests this week.
Well, Vamp Motors is giving out fresh baked cookies to customers who test drive SUVs this month. And since I haven't decided what to buy, I'm just test driving each one to see what I like best.
You better test drive that to the gym and back, especially with all those free cookies you're getting from Vamp.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this August at Vamp Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vamp's summer SUV sale. Now through the end of August. That's every SUV in stock on sale. Save up to $4,400 or put the savings towards upgrading your vehicle. Sweeten the deal with Vamp Motors, Walkers Road. Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Gentlemen, before we get an opportunity, or before I give you an opportunity to respond to Captain Paul's comments, we're going to take the other caller. Let's hear what that caller has to say. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, you are.
Yeah, I've been listening here a little bit, and the studio guest is painting a pretty picture there of what I think is being planned. But I would urge you to take a little cognizance, or urge everybody to take a little cognizance of what Captain Paul is having to say. Because there are lots of people here who are saying basically the same thing as he is saying. They have caught a lot of barracudas, a lot of queenfish, a lot of props, a lot of old wives and ocean tables between Southwest Point and Northwest Point, and who has viewed what has been happening in that vista between Southwest Point and Northwest Point, which includes 7 Mile Beach. And I think that it would do everybody good, and I think it would quiet the fears of some of the folks here if a deeper sensitivity was taken as to what has happened along 7 Mile Beach over the last, let's say, 30 to 40 years, with the minute impediments that have been put there by man to interfere with nature. And you can have a good bird's eye view. I think I believe, I'm sure I don't think it has been replenished within the last couple of days. But just go down there to Church Street in West Bay at the beach end of Church Street and take a look at what's happening there, or what happens there, and you'll get a good education. And then jump in a catboat or jump in a canoe and just paddle your way from Henning Beach up the cemetery in Georgetown, and I think your views may get a good educational exposure.
Sure.
Because I'm not sure that the sensitivity as to what plunking down all of those structures out in deep water coming off of Georgetown, Roy Wattle, or whatever it is there, and especially the cumulative effect of what that's going to have on the currents and the various tides that flow back and forth between Southwest Point and Northwest Point. And I'll say this, and then I'll just hang up. I don't care what kind of, I guess you could say, surveys or whatever that they've done within the last 4 or 5 years out there. It don't really mean much, because every Southwester, every Northwester, every Southeaster, every due Souther presents a different set of circumstances, and unless they have slept out there between Northwest Point and Southwest Point for the last 35 years, at least 3 months a year, they don't know what is happening there. And you can go back to one simple incident. The incident when the Goldfield broke away from her white hole in West Bay, went adrift in the middle of the night when some heavy weather came in, and the initiative to find her. Now, I don't know, find the Goldfield. I don't know how many of you know that story, but that is a good example of what I think we're up against here.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much, caller.
Certainly, I thank Mr. Loxley for his opinion, and certainly prior to him, Captain Paul. First, let me, I'd like to take a stab at responding to both of the callers, if I may, and certainly allowing the same for my colleague, Mr. March, to do as he wishes. First of all, let me state unequivocally that I have the greatest amount of respect for Captain Paul Hurlston as an individual, as a master mariner, as a sea captain, and certainly his knowledge. I take nothing away from what he has done or the knowledge in which he possesses, and I think it's certainly useful to hear his opinions. Certainly, and in particular, likewise, the opinions of other persons who have been in Cayman longer than I've been alive, calling specifically to Mr. Loxley, who was the last caller. I want to address the concerns of both. Captain Paul talked about, he used the saying, he who pays the piper calls the tune. I agree. But in this instance, the people who are paying the piper are the very cruise lines themselves who will be the end users of this service. I'm speaking specifically to the major partners of Virgin Isle, which consist of Royal Caribbean and Carnival, the two largest cruise companies in the world. They are partnering in this endeavor. They are the ones putting their money, their financing capital behind this project, and they're putting their name on it. They are also the owners of the Genesis-class ships that will be berthed at this facility. And those ships, in dollar value, are worth about $1 billion each. In terms of the positioning that Captain Paul talked of, certainly the question that you asked, does it necessarily follow that the captains and chief engineers of both Royal and Carnival, certainly they would be involved in these discussions, in particular to the design and whether or not it is suitable for their ships from the standpoint of protecting their investment. $1 billion is a lot of zeros. And I am confident that with the two largest cruise companies in the world partnering in this project in the Cayman Islands, spending their money, not taxpayer money, they are confident that the design and the positioning of this cruise port meets the needs and certainly will protect their assets. When you had the Premier and Deputy Premier on this program last week, the Deputy Premier spoke about the simulator that is used in the modeling of these designs, of the designs for ports. The one in the Cayman Islands and the one everywhere else. I think it's called the Star Chamber or the Star Center in Florida. This, similar to aircraft simulators, provide the sort of conditions. They can copy the conditions, the wind current, the sea currents, etc., all of the important factors relevant to a captain of a major seagoing vessel against the backdrop of how they are going to berth at this facility, how the boats will be positioned, and how they can ensure the safety. I am confident, I am beyond confident, that the persons who are in fact going to be using this facility for their billion-dollar assets would first want to satisfy themselves that they are, signing off on a design that will protect their interest. And I find it hard to believe that Royal or Carnival would put their billion-dollar assets in any degree of harm if they felt this was the inappropriate location or the inappropriate positioning of the berthing facilities. So that's the first thing. The second thing, the point that Mr. Loxley made, the environmental impact over time. The government is not making the claim that there will be zero environmental impact. There will be some environmental impact. We have been able to reduce the environmental impact by about 20% from the previous design. One of those is to remove the previous design for the cargo expansion, which seeks to now protect Paradise Reef and in particular Eden Rock, because those are key sites, very important to both snorkeling and diving, and they will be protected by the change of scope in terms of the design. And secondly, of course, the issues of the amount of dredging that would otherwise be required to be removed from the site, and that comes, of course, by the removal of the upland development portion. Those two things combined will certainly see a reduction in the environmental impact by about 20%. But let me also state a fact, that whether we are building a road, a school, or a hotel, we are destroying some aspect of the environment in order to create the economic benefit that commerce brings. So I'm not going to sit here and say there will be no environmental impact. In terms of the location in Georgetown, I know both Mr. Loxley and Captain Paul believe that we should be looking at cruise berthing, though they believe there are opportunities in other locations. There's a reason that Royal Watler and both cargo and cruise operations have operated within Hog's-Tie Bay since time began, because it's considered the lee side of the island. It is the most protected side of the island, and those smarter than me, those persons engaged in this business long before I was born, picked this location, and that has been the location since time immemorial. Some of the other sites that have been proposed, I've seen some of those proposals, and what we can state unequivocally is if the major concern for not supporting the port is the environmental damage, is in particular the dredging concern, then I can say categorically that any other location would require a significant amount more dredging than in our present location, which would otherwise suggest that, to the environmentalists who are objecting to the current proposal, I think they would be rejecting even more loudly, if we were to look at some of the other areas.
Okay, let's see if we have two callers. Let's see if we can grab one call before we go to the next break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay. Well, the old people have spoken. Ms. Gina Petrie and her department have spoken from the time the UDP were planning on building this. They were against it. Our young people have spoken. They stood up in front of the government building, asking you all not to do so. And it wasn't by coincidence that that we got over 5,000 signatures. That wasn't by coincidence. So the government has had many warnings, and they continue to be stubborn and ignorant. And you all will regret building this port. Thank you very much.
I just want to answer directly to that call. I understand his point of view, and I respect him for sharing it. But when we talk about the other side of the coin, 4,500 Caymanians presently derive a living from the cruise industry. We heard from Mr. Noel earlier on that talked about what it meant in 2009 to lose the Freedom class ship, which was replaced by the Genesis class. And that meant that his company, his small business, which employed Caymanians, had to shut down because that business didn't exist anymore. Now, multiply that times 4,500 people. I remember, rather significantly, the conversations that took place when foreclosures were in the double, if not triple digits. Imagine what happens when you take away the livelihood from 4,500 people, the earning capability. Those same foreclosures that we experienced a few years ago will probably come back. We remember the significant unemployment that we experienced that we're just now turning the corner and getting away from. If we do not expand the cruise port, if the cruise lines continue or follow through on their threats that say you either build cruise berthing or like the Genesis class ship that passes by the Cayman Islands once per week, with 5,000 passengers every week, we will multiply that times the number of ships, and we will see a reduction in our cruise business. What would the caller say is the government's responsibility then, by seeing an opportunity to protect the existing jobs in cruise tourism whilst also expanding opportunities to address those persons who are still unemployed? That is what we're trying to do. If we chose to do nothing, if we chose to take the fear angle that the caller and others are telling us, what then will that caller be challenging the government on when 4,500 people lose their job, when foreclosures increase, when unemployment increases, when the demands on social welfare increases past what it is right now, and it is growing? What then will the criticism of government be?
That is so significant. And I am by no means all for just going and mowing down any part of the environment just to make a buck. To be quite honest with you, if this was being proposed at other locations, I'd be standing shoulder to shoulder with certain people opposing it. Mm-hmm. This is not what this is about, but this is our commercial port, right? And that's what it needs to be used for.
Yes.
And what lies in the footprint of that with regards to the environment, I'm sorry, but there's some species that I'm a little more concerned about, and that's what I call Homo sapien Caymanian.
Yes.
Right? Who needs a job, who needs an opportunity, right? And I cannot understand why we would not put those needs ahead of whatever lies in the footprint of that proposed facility. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of places around this island that are beautiful, that are incredible. I've been involved in the tour business, and I've seen a lot of places that, like I said, I'll be the first one there standing in front of them saying that you can't touch this. But with regards to this facility and its location, I think that the benefits far outweigh any loss or issues with the environment. There was, I think the gentleman, one of the previous callers alluded to the 7 Mile Beach, and I guess he's talking about erosion and movement of sand, right? And there is studies that were done as long ago as probably around 2000, where the government of the day commissioned a study to be done on the sand production and beach erosion. And one of the things that they were looking to figure out was that if ever they had a large erosive event, such as a southwester, a hurricane, or whatever the case may be, how would we replenish our beach? Because obviously tourism, 7 Mile Beach is at the heart of it. This study, if anybody wants to look it up, is done by Dr. Richard Seymour. It addresses all that. And contrary to a belief that's being sold out there, as we speak, sand is being produced. It is mainly produced along the southern and northern coast of this island, and it's carried from east to west, deposited off the northwest. Caller mentioned the northwest point and the southwest point of the island. Nor'westers bring in from the northwest point and help build up the beach. And unfortunately, what gets deposited off the southwest corner, just because of the depth of the water between there and 7 Mile Beach, doesn't make it up, and because of the type of weather that it would be needed. But anyways, I could get into talking about that report, but it's very interesting. Dr. Richard Seymour, for anybody who wants to learn more about it, and it would take away all the myth and the anxiety about issues with 7 Mile Beach. The greatest threat to 7 Mile Beach is building too close to the water. Because waves, when they come in, they need to be able to dissipate their energy and flow up the beach and flow back. And if anything interferes with that, any sort of seawall or anything that's too close to the beach, that is what causes and speeds up erosion.
Don't believe him? Okay. The Marriott is a fantastic example of the point that Mr. March is making.
We have a commercial break we have to go to, and we have 2 callers on hold as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore.
Gym tonight?
I have another test today.
Wow, for somebody who isn't in school, you've had a lot of tests this week.
Well, Vamp Motors is giving out fresh baked cookies to customers who test drive SUVs this month. And since I haven't decided what to buy, I'm just test driving each one to see what I like best.
You better test drive that to the gym and back, especially with all those free cookies you're getting from Vamp.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this August at Vamp Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vamp's summer SUV sale. Now through the end of August. That's every SUV in stock on sale. Save up to $4,400 or put the savings towards upgrading your vehicle. Sweeten the deal with Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
Hey, are those new glasses on Will?
Yeah, we went to Optical Outlook. Wham, bam, easy exam. Finally, an exam he could pass. And we had the glasses the next day. Easiest part of our back-to-school shopping for sure.
Book your child's eye exam today at Optical Outlook. Call 746-2020. Get half off a complete pair of glasses with any student's eye exam now until August 31st. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook, located in Caymanian Village.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore. Seaboard.
Have you ever felt that there is something bigger out there for you? Something more positive, something more powerful, something all good, something bigger than yourself? Do you want to give back to this community? Your community? Together, Rotary Central, Rotary Sunrise, and the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman are hosting a membership meet and greet social Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. Come along. Bring a friend. Find out what Rotary is all about, what Rotary is doing in your community. So, see you there, Thursday, August 15th at Pepper's Restaurant, 5 to 7 p.m. We're looking forward to meeting you. Rotary, connecting the world.
Steve Higgins Productions, in association with the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens,
the Cayman Islands Cancer Society,
and the De Silva Family Trust presents
Music of the Hearts, a fantastic evening of excellent music presented by Delia Winter,
April Marr,
and Steve Higgins at the Marriott Beach Resort, 7 Mile Beach, Sunday, September 1st, 2019 at 6 p.m. Sponsored by
Harney's,
Applebee,
SMP,
NCB Capital Markets,
Jamaica Tourist Board,
and Radio Cayman. Tickets $25.
Available at Funky Tanks,
Super Stitch, or any member of the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens, or call
925-9134.
That's 925-9134. Proceeds will go towards the Cayman Islands Cancer Society and the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens. That's Steve Higgins and Friends in Music of the Heart. Sunday, September 1st at the Marriott Beach Resort. Don't miss it!
RC Fusion featuring Billboard's pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion.
RC Fusion is proudly sponsored by Purple Dragon, building the strong leaders of tomorrow. Call 946-1241 or email purple@cnw.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have about 20 minutes left of the show. We will be going straight through without any further commercial breaks at this point in time. So we're going to take our two callers, probably about maybe 5 minutes before 10 o'clock. We'll close the phone lines off to give both of our panelists here an opportunity for some closing comments as well. Let's take the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. I'll see you, Mr. Harris and Mr. Marsh.
Morning, sir.
Good morning to you, Brother Peter. Always a pleasure to hear from you.
Always to hear from you also, my brother. Really good show this morning. I'm enjoying every bit of it. But, you know, to have a good, healthy debate, we can't just have all positives. We need to have a negative. And I hear Mr. Marsh complaining about the amount of business he's losing because he doesn't have the dogs. Now, the reason someone should have been there from the other side to also have a good, healthy debate was how it was going to affect their part of their business. And I would really, really enjoy if that was taking place this morning, that someone was there that could counter and say, well, you know, instead of hearing all the positive points, the negative points, but there's nobody there. So, Mr. Harris, maybe in the future, for everybody's sake, if you can have a nice debate like this,
yes,
can we get a little bit more people involved so everybody can understand at the end of the day? We only hearing it one side of it. We need to hear the negatives and the positives, and I think it would be a very, very healthy debate for the island so everybody can come on board and everybody will be happy at the end of the day.
Sure.
That's my 2 cents in the morning. Thank you very much. And that's not Austin.
All right.
Thank you very much, Colin.
Thank you, Peter. Certainly do appreciate your points. And he raises an excellent point. But, let me just state this, that certainly over the course of the last 10 months, we've had the CPR group, the persons who are behind the referendum, highlighting numerous reasons why they believe the port is a bad idea. And certainly from the government perspective, the government has allowed that because, certainly to the caller's point, both sides of this coin are important, and it is important that the public are shared this information as much as possible and given the opportunity to make up their own minds. Now that we have arrived at the point where the key fundamental questions as to what will the design look like, how much will it cost, who will be designing it, those questions which previously could not be answered because of the procurement stages that we were in, are now over, and we're able to engage in those discussions. And I think the fruitful aspects of the conversation, what will it look like, how much will it cost, what will be the environmental impact, what has government done to reduce that environmental impact, what will be some of the criteria for the dredging that will occur, and how will the monitoring take place? Those are legitimate questions, and it's important now that the government be given that opportunity to share certainly its perspective and its viewpoint in terms of how the country will benefit from this exercise. To the caller's point, yes, I agreed. In a proper debate, it would be nice to have the for and against at the same table, in the same room, at the same time. But unfortunately, we've had nothing but the negative criticisms for 10 months. And now the government finally has the opportunity that its tongue is not tied, its mouth is not hushed, to be able to share the details that for 10 months those who are against this project have been pontificating on time and time again, even so much so that this morning right now, one of the key critics is also on radio, but on another channel, undoubtedly pontificating even more. So the caller, or anyone who's still on the fence on this issue, has had at least 10 months of opportunities to hear what the negative aspect is. And the government, for reasons, as I've already outlined, because of the process that we were in then, could not answer those questions. But we are now in a position where we can give that full disclosure, and we're doing that. So we're doing that to the best of our ability.
And during the referendum stage, if it reaches that, then possible those debates may take place as well, quite possibly.
Yeah.
Let's take the other caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, I didn't mean to call back, but I think there was some suppositions that has been emitted there over the last half hour or so that is not accurate, because it shouldn't be countenanced that everybody who tries to engage in some discussion on the present process is against the process that's going on, or the port, because I personally think that an enhanced port would be a great benefit to the Cayman Islands.
Amen.
But there is a process that's going on that I don't think is the only process that would provide us with that entity. And I think there has to be a wider discussion amongst those very elements to make sure that we get it right. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned the supposition that has been emitted, and I'll say this and then I'll let you go. Ms. Bulow taught me a long time ago what a supposition meant. So be careful with those suppositions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Locks. I appreciate you calling back.
I think he mentions process, and I frankly haven't really seen any previous occasion where process has been so thorough and involved. I mean, this started in 2013, I believe.
Yes.
With the EIA.
Yes.
So I really don't know how much more they can. But what I would like to suggest is that anyone who has a concern, especially such as those captains, who have a fair amount of experience, if they want to get together and approach government and request a meeting to say, look, these are our concerns, and sit down and have a discussion. And I'm sure that once all the facts are laid out,
yes,
that the majority of them would probably be satisfied with what they hear. You'll never make everyone happy.
Yes,
that's just what life is.
Absolutely.
But I would think the majority of people, now that you said government, they can speak and they can release information now that this bid process has reached this stage. I think a lot of the people who were concerned, who really didn't, weren't like super against or super for, were kind of like in the middle and weren't sure. I believe that they'll be able to consider all these facts and information and make a sensible decision.
Yeah, no, I think Noel makes an excellent point. And again, we have the design. now in the public domain, which previously we did not. I find it hard to believe that those captains, Captain Paul and others, haven't had an opportunity to present to the government over the 10 years that this whole project has been in existence. The point that Mr. March has made, I cannot imagine in what way the government could have been even more transparent in this process. Every single document, every single publication that has been written about this project since we started this initiative is in the public domain. Don't have it? www.supportourtourism.com has that information, which now includes the information that has been made public since the closing weeks in July, which includes the design, which includes the images, which includes who the partners are, which includes what the expected investment cost will be to develop the port, and highlights the fact that, number one, there's no China harbor. Number two, there's no upland development. Number three, there's no threat to 7 Mile Beach. Number four, there's no taxpayer debt. And number five, there's no foreign ownership. These are the facts, and it is available in the public domain for anyone who is willing to look at it, to read it, and to accept it for what it is. In terms of the next steps and the continuing dialogue, I want to use the opportunity, because I know time is waning, to address the legitimate points that Mr. Loxley and Captain Paul made. Going forward from here, a Coastal Works application will be submitted in the month of August in order to obtain approval to undertake what is called the geotechnical survey and scoping, which will comprise of approximately 20 boreholes across the Marine Works site and the proposed coral relocation site. This geotechnical survey will be required in order to finalize the design of the piers and obtain geotechnical information required for the coral relocation project itself, or the coral relocation aspect of this design process. So certainly in that geotechnical survey and that scoping works. If, for example, the positioning of the piers becomes a problem that may threaten the investment of the ships or otherwise, certainly that geotechnical and scoping works will identify those concerns at that time. The environmental scoping report will then, once completed, will then be submitted to the Environmental Assessment Board, which will compare the current new design proposals against the existing 2015 environmental impact assessment in respect to any significant changes. And then we will have an opportunity to review, have those changes in the design resulted in a 20% reduction in environmental impact, as has been stated? Will the geotechnical surveys identify what we believe will be a way in which we can minimize the amount of dredge footprint that is necessary? And likewise, what are the water depths? What are some of the challenges that design workers and construction workers will have in building this pier, but also in mitigating against the potential leakage of sediment or silt that will otherwise go with any coastal works application? So to say that the government has not been transparent is incorrect. To say that the government has not taken every necessary possible step in order to make sure that, as the old saying goes, we measure twice and cut once, has been accomplished. And certainly to say that the government has not facilitated an opportunity for frank and open dialogue on the subject is also simply untrue. We will continue to have this dialogue. We accept that not everyone is a believer or a supporter in the project, which is fine. But we want to be able to provide those persons with the information, as much information as they need in order for them to make a fundamental decision. As it relates to the referendum, the referendum and those who signed the petition did not sign for a single answer. It wasn't just a question of, do you support the port, yes or no? Some signed because they don't support the port. Others signed because they didn't have enough information on the port and they wanted more information. Others signed because they believe they support cruise berthing, but they don't believe the location is correct. All right, so there's multiple reasons why persons signed that petition, and what the government is trying to do in the present circumstance, now that we are able to answer the pertinent questions which have been outstanding for a number of months, is ensure that as many people who are unaware of these answers can have them in their possession. And I just want to state lastly to Mr. Orrett, the caller who is adamant that, we are going to regret making this decision. The government is made up of 19 Caymanians, just like him. And this viewpoint that the government or any Caymanian, regardless of what they do for a living, that they would consider destroying our own home, where we all live, where we hope to die, where we're raising our present children, and where we look forward to enjoying our grandchildren, as well as receiving the rest of the world. To say to another Caymanian that we would willingly, blindly seek to destroy our own home, in my mind, is simply inconceivable. And the facts that have led us to this point say something entirely different.
There was a comment that Mr. Marsh included at one point in time, talking about the damage that has already been done to parts of Georgetown Harbor. And one would get the impression that because the damage has already been done, let's go and do more damage to it. And I think it's important to point out that the government will still be attempting in whatever ways that they can to mitigate against any further damage to Georgetown Harbor as well.
It wasn't meant to just go in there and just, not have any conditions in place that regulate how things are done.
No, absolutely not.
It basically was, that has already been established as our cargo and cruise area. Mm-hmm. And I was basically saying that, there are other parts of the island that I would definitely oppose doing that in. But that particular area, I think, fits the bill when it comes to this sort of infrastructure need.
Yeah, no, indeed. I mean, to your point, and certainly, again, as I stated, no one, the government or anyone, as Caymanians, want to see any harm come to Cayman because of this project. The government is viewing this from the vantage point that it has an obligation to create an environment in which business and tourism continues to thrive. That means protecting those persons who are currently deriving a living from this sector, but also encouraging others who may very well be unemployed today to find employment in tourism by becoming ambassadors of our tourism product. And I think we can achieve this from the cruise tourism standpoint.
Okay, I have a couple of emails that I missed during the course of the discussion. Some came in just after the break. One may have came before. This one says, beyond the purported financial benefits with the new port, has any consideration been given or plans made to enable opportunities for Caymanians on the engineering aspects of the project? I
think when we consider that Meisner Marine, now Orion, Meisner being the original builders of Royal Watler, being familiar with the design works that exist on the current footprint and expanding that, that they would seek to employ many of the same persons, engineers or otherwise, that they used the first time around. In terms of opportunities for Caymanian engineers, I believe that there will be many.
Okay, and another one has written and said, tourists now are asking, where is the 7 Mile Beach since closing the West Bay Road? The only place you can see now is the Mayor Molly Hyde's Road. If the sea will remain, then all of 7 Mile Beach will be gone. The wall did not help during I think during Hurricane Ivan, as the sand could not recede back, it all landed on the road. The high bank that was there was lost because of the wall. Speaking, I guess, supporting your point in terms of Mr. Marsh, in terms of, when you build structures, when you build walls, and the waves are not allowed to dissipate, and what occurs as well. Yeah. We have about 3 minutes left. I want to give Mr. Marsh a minute for some closing comments, and then Mr. Harris, you'll get the final 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Marsh.
Yeah. I think that this needs to be looked at as something we need to do and do it right. The same way we take a great pride in our financial industry and stayover tourism, we need to take great pride in this and do this to the best of our ability to provide the opportunities that it can for our people going forward. And I think it can all play into and fit into everything, mesh very well with the other parts of our economy, and even benefit stayover with regards to the possibility of return visitors for stayover. And I truly believe that being able to offer a more relaxed product just in general just creates a better environment for everyone. And the employment that it creates for our people are going to have socioeconomic benefits, lower crime, and crime is not something you want at all for tourism, but we don't want it for ourselves. It improves the environment we live in.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Harris.
Sir, again, OC, I want to thank you for another opportunity for the government to come on and share important details about the cruise berthing facility and the project that is now certainly greatly progressed. I want to thank the callers who took the time to share their viewpoints and questions and their remarks. Always appreciate that. For everyone else, again, www.supportourtourism.com. For those persons who have questions about the cruise berthing project and the subsequent works and opportunities that will be produced from it, or perhaps have not yet seen all of the publications and still have some questions, again, every single shred of document that has been published, written, or otherwise involved in this cruise berthing project over the last 10 years is available on that website. Certainly the government is delighted to have arrived at this point to be able to say unequivocally that going forward there is no China Harbor involved. There will be no upland development to threaten those businesses that provide services to the cruise industry, whilst also minimizing the environmental impact. Every step of the way of this project has been looking to consider the legitimate concerns raised by members of the public, whether they be former sea captains, persons working in the industry, or just the average layman or man on the street. We have taken into consideration the objections which are legitimate and sought to include them in the deal that has been struck for the country. There is no threat to 7 Mile Beach, largely because of the design of the piers themselves going in on pilings as opposed to a single structure. There is no taxpayer debt. The country is not borrowing money. The country is not obligated to guarantee income for any company, but instead we are moving forward with the partnership of the two major cruise lines in the world, namely Royal and Carnival. They're the ones involved in building, designing, financing, and maintaining this site. And at the end of it in 25 years, the Cayman Islands will have a port facility it can be proud of and that it will own. The Port Authority will continue to operate this port, so there's never at any point in time any foreign ownership on this proposed project. And of course, what is this proposed project? This proposed project seeks to ensure that as the cruise industry itself becomes more and more advanced, bigger and bigger ships are built to carry more passengers, we will have the ability in order to maintain our current market share, which is about number 3 in the Caribbean, hopefully maybe increasing that market share, increasing the per passenger spend, increasing the amount of annual visitors, and all of those things equate into more jobs, more opportunities, greater economic uplift for our people in this country. And when I combine those 3 things together, that means there are more people earning by the sweat of their brow and less people dependent on social welfare, less and less people dependent on the government to provide them with a means of living and having their being. And I think that's a good thing. And I think we need to support that. Certainly, I encourage those persons who are on the fence to get informed, to have the information that you are otherwise asking for. And certainly, if you sign the petition and you feel as if the information at the time you didn't have, but now you are in fact more educated, now you are in a position where you believe that you can support the port because the information has been given to you, then when the verification, people come around knocking on your door, all you have to say to them is, yes, whilst I did sign the petition, and these were the reasons why I signed it in the past, I have since been given that information, and I no longer wish to be registered as a signature. That is their right. just as it is their right to also state, yes, I signed the petition, yes, I'm a voter, yes, I want my name on that list. And certainly the government will continue to honor that process because, as I've stated from the very beginning, the government is not above the law, and the Constitution is the highest law of the land. If the referendum of the CPR group can be verified, if the numbers can be obtained as the Constitution requires, then a referendum will be held on the subject. That is it. That is the end all. But certainly the government's position is that we believe we have been successful in securing the best possible deal for our people. We have sought to minimize the environmental impact so that those things that matter to us will remain the same. And certainly we are not with the viewpoint that we are going to destroy anything, but quite to the contrary. Not only are we going to enhance our infrastructure, but we believe this project will enhance lives, and in particular, Caymanian lives.
Okay, gentlemen, I want to thank you very much. Way over the limit the time this morning, folks. I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Drainey Banks at 12:15 for talk today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.